back to Hot Roster Today. Gary and Cam still with you. And because this is Hot Roster Today, the matchups revealed, I would be somewhat of a liar if we didn't actually physically reveal any matchups. So the Hot Roster Today card will be available to you tonight on HotRoster.com. And to break it all down with Cam and I is Corey Parson, the fantasy executive. Corey, how's it going, man?
What's going on, fellas? Pretty good week last week. Can't complain about it, but definitely looking for the action this week. Here we go. It's already week 8 of the NFL season, week 8 of the fantasy football season. Good times.
It's pretty crazy.
Yeah,
it's pretty crazy. As you mentioned, we were close last week. We had a couple weird ones. I know it seemed like Jameis had a fantastic game, but sometimes you get those rushing touchdowns from Tyrod Taylor and it messes everything up. So let's stick with those quarterback battles. And a guy who possibly could run one in, although he hasn't done a lot of running so far this season, Aaron Rodgers against Russell Wilson. Wilson is a 2-point underdog, even though he's playing the Saints on that fast track in New Orleans. Rodgers also has a good matchup against Atlanta. The point total in both these games, Corey, is incredibly high. I mean, Wilson, though, specifically, has not really performed this season. Was injured week 1 by Ndamukong Suh against the Miami Dolphins. Only 5 touchdowns, 33 yards rushing. Like, he hasn't brought a whole lot to the table so far this year. Is this the week he finally breaks out against the Saints?
Yes. No, this is, you know what? We've really seen the rushing numbers go down, not to mention the fact the conservativeness of the Seattle Seahawks offense. This is a tough matchup, a good spot for Russell Wilson right here. The Saints are getting absolutely obliterated throughout the course of the season in the air, not to mention the fact they're at home. I love the way Jimmy Graham has been playing so far this season, so that gives Russell Wilson a top target. Aaron Rodgers also has a very good matchup against an Atlanta Falcons pass defense that can't contain or stop nobody. We saw a healthy Rodgers. Well, not really a healthy Rodgers. We saw Rodgers play better last week. Looks like he's starting to take advantage of some matchups. This is a tough call right here, but I think I'm gonna give the nod to Russell Wilson. I think Russell Wilson has a very good matchup, so I think Russell Wilson can't cover that spread.
Yeah, we got another tough matchup here, Corey. And just breaking it down, guys, Andy Dalton with 19.6 and Jameis Winston with 19.5. These guys are like mirror images of each other when you talk about the season-long fantasy points. They're like neck and neck. Dalton's been on fire the last couple games. We saw what Jameis Winston did, 3 touchdowns against the Niners. Winston also getting a 1.5 here, and you got to love the situation versus the Raiders. Winston might be able to carve these guys up. Corey, I see a pooch. I love my underdogs. I might have to take a ride, with Jameis Winston.
Hop on the bag and hop on the pirate ship. Get on and get involved. Mike Evans, a top target. Not to mention Jameis Winston really showing. Now listen, he might throw 3 interceptions too, but that Raider defense has been absolutely disgusting this season. Jameis Winston, after that bye, like I predicted, I kind of feel like he's going to start to get things rolling. I like the way that offense is clicking, the way it's looking right now. I got to take Jameis in this spot. Love the Dalton matchup also, but Jameis getting these kind of points, go ahead and lay it and go out there with Jameis Winston this year, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Arr.
Yar, yar.
Corey, we got
like that one too?
Yeah, I think you got to go with Jameis.
Okay,
It's too good a matchup. It's too good a matchup on that one. Matchups are going to play a big part in this next matchup, actually, because Devonta Freeman, especially as we talked about the first block, likely going to be the bell cow in Atlanta this weekend with Tevin Coleman not practicing yesterday. That hamstring injury seems like it's going to plague him at least until Sunday. So Freeman's backfield, but Lamar Miller, one of the true undisputed bell cows we already had in the league, getting all the touches in that Houston backfield. Miller gets Detroit, though. Freeman gets Green Bay. So it seems like those matchups are almost diametrically opposed to each other. Detroit can't stop anybody. Am I missing something here? Isn't Lamar Miller kind of the obvious play?
It looks like this one is Lamar Miller, but what I will say is this. If this was a point, if Hot Roster had a point per reception,
yes,
this would be Devonta Freeman's show all the way without a question of a doubt. But without that point per reception, we're looking at yardage and mainly touchdowns for Freeman. Maybe not that kind of workload because this is a game that should be high volume of passing. So a healthy Lamar Miller should be able to get the job done against the Detroit Lions defense that gives it up to running backs.
Yeah, let's talk about another, you want to talk about a heavyweight fight, guys? We got 2 studs right here. What about Murray, 139-yard rushes? We got Elliott, 137. Both of these guys, they get fed, kind of like me at the buffet. They just keep on coming back for more. Also, Elliott, 20-plus carries in every game but 1. Murray's been on fire, guys. What do? It's a straight-up pick 'em for a reason, but I don't know. What do you think? Maybe Murray a little bit of a better matchup, but this is a tough battle, Murray versus Elliott.
I like the Murray matchup a lot. I'll be 100% honest with you. Murray has been getting it done. He's a guy that fantasy owners were able to in season-long leagues, we're able to draft him later on in drafts, and he's obviously returning dividends right now for that Tennessee Titans offense. But I love the volume that Ezekiel Elliott gets coming out that Dallas Cowboy backfield. We're looking at 30-plus touches every time he steps on the football field. I know the Philadelphia Eagles front seven is tough, but I'll take Dallas Cowboys and Ezekiel Elliott with a tough matchup at home.
Yeah, it seems like the Eagles' defense is not quite the same on the road, so I think I'm going to roll with Corey there with Ezekiel Elliott. Last one before we get you out of here, Corey. Brandon Marshall against Amari Cooper. Both these guys have great matchups. Marshall draws the Browns, while Cooper gets Tampa Bay. Cooper, the half-point fantasy underdog in this matchup as well, but two guys who really, considering maybe there's not been the best return in terms of their fantasy prospects coming into the season, still having some pretty good seasons. Amari Cooper, 6th in the NFL in receiving yards. Marshall, who gets Fitzmagic back, who, say what you will about Fitz, he's going to take his shots at the very least, but Marshall's actually 9th in the league in targets. The only problem is he's catching less than 50% of these. Maybe he turns that around this week, Corey?
Hopefully, I do think this is a good chance this week to get Fitzmagic. Matter of fact, in one of my season-long leagues, I recently picked him up off the waiver wire. So you're looking at Brandon Marshall coming in here with this half-point favorite. I got to be honest with you, this is a tough call because Amari Cooper has really been getting it done so far this season. Listen, we're putting our trust in Ryan Fitzpatrick, but you know what? That may not be a bad thing this week. He gets that job back. He wants to prove that he was the guy from the jump. Going into Cleveland Browns, a very good matchup. I'm going to take the points, and I'm going to roll with Brandon Marshall in this one because I think Marshall will be able to get in the end zone.
Yeah, only one team has given up more 20-plus yard passing plays than the Browns so far this season. So you feel like if it does get that touchdown, it's probably going to be at the deep variety as well. That is Corey Parson, the fantasy executive. Corey, thanks for taking the time, man.
Thanks a lot, fellas. Looking forward to doing it again.
Always fun to have Corey on the show, Cam.
I love Corey.
I didn't know you spoke pirate.
Yeah, I do. I speak a lot of things, Gary. A lot of languages, a lot of sound effects.
Well, we're going to have fun during the break then. I'm going to figure some of these things out. When we come back, we're breaking down the NHL. 3 cards for a 9-game slate in the NHL tonight. We'll break down one of those when we come back on Hot Roster Today.